Tom and Mia loved exploring new places. On weekends, they would walk through old streets, parks, and empty buildings. They enjoyed finding things that others had forgotten. One bright Saturday morning, they decided to take a walk through a quiet neighborhood on the edge of the town. The streets were narrow and lined with old trees. Some houses looked empty, their windows covered with dust. Some yards had tall grass, and some fences were broken. The neighborhood had a calm, almost mysterious feeling. As they walked, Mia noticed a rusty iron gate hidden behind some overgrown bushes. "Look at that gate," she said. "It looks like no one has opened it for years." Tom pushed the branches aside. "Should we see what is behind it?" he asked. Mia nodded. They carefully walked toward the gate. As they got closer, they saw something shiny. At first, it looked like a small reflection of the sun on a piece of metal. Then Tom and Mia realized it was not just metal. It was a car, and it was very special. The car was covered in dust, leaves, and some scratches, but its shape and design were clear. It was long, low, and beautiful. Its curves were smooth, and it had a look of speed and power even while sitting still. Tom stepped closer, brushing his fingers over the dust. He could see the badge on the front. "Mia, look. This is a Pagani," he whispered. Mia's eyes grew wide. "A Pagani? Are you sure?" "Those cars cost millions," she said. Tom nodded, feeling both excitement and disbelief. "Yes. I have seen pictures of them. They are very rare. How can this car be here, abandoned like this?" The two friends looked around. The yard was overgrown, with weeds taller than their knees. The house behind the car was empty and old. Windows were broken, and paint was falling off the walls. It looked like no one had lived there for years. The car, however, looked like it wanted to shine again. Even under dust, it was beautiful. Mia walked around the car, examining it from all sides. "It looks like it has been left here for a long time," she said. "The tires are flat. Some parts look broken. But the shape, it is perfect. I cannot believe we found this." Tom opened the car door carefully. The interior was covered in dust, but the seats were leather and looked very expensive. The steering wheel was unusual and beautiful. Every detail inside showed that this was a car made for luxury, speed, and style. Tom ran his hand over the dashboard. "This is unbelievable. It is like stepping into a museum piece." Mia sat in the driver's seat. "I wonder why someone would leave it here. This car is worth more than a house. Maybe the owner moved away and forgot about it, or maybe it was too expensive to fix. But it feels sad to see it abandoned." They spent hours just looking at the car. They took photos with their phones. They imagined what it would be like to drive it on a long road, feeling the engine roar and the wind in their hair. Tom and Mia laughed and talked about all the things they could do if they owned a car like this. When they finally left, they could not stop thinking about the Pagani. The next day, Tom brought a notebook and started writing down everything he noticed about the car. He wrote about its design, the wheels, the engine cover, and even the smell inside the car. Mia looked online for similar cars, finding videos and articles about the rarity and value of a Pagani. They were learning more and more every hour. A few days later, they decided to go back to the neighborhood. This time, they wanted to find out who owned the car. They walked slowly, looking for any sign of life in the old houses. Finally, they found a small mailbox near the gate with a name on it. It was faded and hard to read, but it gave them a starting point. Tom and Mia knew they needed more information before they could do anything. They returned home and started searching online. They found an old registration for the car. It had the last owner's address in a nearby town. The registration was almost 10 years old. "It looks like the car has been here for a long time," Tom said. "No one has checked on it. No one has cleaned it. It is completely forgotten." Mia looked thoughtful. "I think we should go and talk to the owner. Maybe they will let us take the car or at least tell us more about it. We cannot just leave it here to rot. It is too special. Tom agreed. Yes, but we need to be careful. We do not know who lives there now or what the owner will say. We should be polite and honest. For the next week, they prepared. They wrote down questions, made sure their phones were charged, and even thought about how they would explain why they wanted the car. They were nervous, but also excited. The Pagani was not just a car, it was a story waiting to be discovered. When the day finally came, Tom and Mia took a bus to the town listed on the registration. They walked through the quiet streets, looking at the houses. Some were new, some were old. They finally found a small house with a garden full of flowers. It was not the abandoned style they expected. They hesitated, then walked up to the door. Tom rang the bell. A few moments later, an old man opened the door. He looked surprised to see them. "Can I help you?" he asked. Tom smiled politely. "Hello, sir. My name is Tom, and this is Mia. We are interested in a car that might belong to you. It is a Pagani, and it has been in a house nearby. We were wondering if you know anything about it." The man blinked, thinking for a moment. Then he sighed. "Ah, that car. Yes, I used to own it. I moved abroad many years ago and left it here. I never thought anyone would care about it now. It has been sitting there, forgotten." Mia looked at Tom with wide eyes. This was their chance. They were about to learn the story behind the abandoned Pagani and maybe even bring it back to life. The adventure had only just begun. After meeting the old man, Tom and Mia could hardly contain their excitement. They thanked him politely and walked back to the street, talking quietly about what they had just learned. "Can you believe it?" Mia whispered. "The car actually belonged to him. And he doesn't even want it anymore." Tom nodded. "Yes, it is crazy. But now we have a chance to see if we can do something with it. We need to know more before we make any decisions." The two friends decided to go back to the old neighborhood where the Pagani was abandoned. The car was still there, covered in dust and weeds, waiting silently as if it had been sleeping for years. Tom and Mia looked at it carefully. The tires were completely flat, some parts of the body were scratched, and the windshield had small cracks. The seats inside were dusty and the leather had begun to dry and crack. The car had clearly been left for a very long time, but even in this condition, it looked magnificent. Mia crouched down and tried to read the license plate. "We can use this to check the car's history," she said. "If we know who owned it before, we might understand why it was left here and if it can be restored." Tom took out his phone and started searching online. He typed in the car's model and license number. Articles, videos, and forums popped up about similar Pagani cars. They learned that a Pagani is one of the rarest and most expensive sports cars in the world. It could cost more than $2 million. People who owned these cars often cared for them very carefully. Seeing one abandoned like this was almost impossible. Mia read aloud from one of the websites. "Pagani cars are handcrafted and each one is unique. They are made to be fast, beautiful, and luxurious. Restoring one can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. But if someone has the chance, it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." Tom's eyes lit up. "That is exactly what we have here. Even if it needs work, the car is extremely valuable. We need to think carefully about what to do next. We should make a plan before we take any action." They decided to visit the local library to look for more information. They wanted old newspapers, records, or anything that could tell them who owned the car and why it was abandoned. At the library, they found an old newspaper article about a man who had moved abroad and left several properties behind. The article mentioned that he had a car collection, including a Pagani. "This must be him," Tom said. "It matches the address and the car. We are on the right track." Mia nodded. "We need to check the car's condition more closely. If we know what is wrong with it, we can see if it is possible to fix it. Even a small engine problem could be expensive." The next day, they returned to the abandoned house with a notebook and camera. They carefully examined the car. Tom wrote down every detail. He checked the tires, the body, the engine cover, and the interior. Mia took photos of the car from all angles. She also checked the dashboard, noting the lights and dials. They wanted to have a complete record of the car's current condition. Tom examined the engine. He opened the hood carefully and saw that it was dusty, but nothing seemed broken. "It might still work if we clean it and replace some parts," he said. "The engine looks strong. Pagani engines are built to last, so even after years of neglect, it might start again." Mia smiled. "That is good news. Now we need to find out if the owner will actually let us take it. If he says no, all this work will be for nothing." They returned to the old man's house the next day. He was sitting on his porch, drinking tea. "Hello again," Tom said politely. "We were wondering if you would consider selling the car. We are very interested, and we promise to take care of it." The old man thought for a moment. "I have not touched that car in many years. I do not need it, and it has been a burden more than anything else. If you really want it, I will sell it to you for a small amount. Just make sure it is taken away soon." Tom and Mia looked at each other in surprise. "A small amount?" Mia asked. "Yes," the old man said. "I do not want it. 10 years ago, I could have asked for much more, but now, just take it and restore it. Make it beautiful again." Tom and Mia agreed immediately. They promised to bring the car back to life and to make sure it would not be forgotten again. They wrote down the payment and exchanged it with the old man. With the legal details completed, the car finally belonged to them. It felt like a dream come true. Once they returned to the abandoned house, Tom and Mia began to plan the restoration. They made a list of everything that needed attention: cleaning the body, fixing scratches, checking the engine, replacing the tires, repairing the leather inside, and polishing the metal. They also planned to ask a professional mechanic for advice on special parts for a Pagani. 4 days, they researched restoration techniques online. They watched videos of car restorations and read forums where collectors shared their experiences. Tom and Mia learned about special cleaning materials, how to check the engine, and how to repair leather seats. Even small details mattered, because the Pagani was not an ordinary car. Every part was unique, and every mistake could cost a lot of money. One afternoon, while taking notes, Mia said, "This is more than just a car. It is like a story frozen in time. We are not just fixing it, we are discovering its past and giving it a new life." Tom nodded. "Exactly. And it is exciting because we are learning so much. This adventure is more than just money or cars. It is about patience, care, and discovery." By the end of the week, they had a full plan. They knew what needed immediate attention and what could wait. They had also found a local garage that specialized in rare cars and agreed to help them. Tom and Mia felt ready. They could hardly wait to start the work, knowing that every step they took would bring the abandoned Pagani closer to its former glory. As the sun set that evening, they stood next to the car, looking at its dusty but beautiful body. "Tomorrow," Tom said, "we start bringing it back to life." Mia smiled. "It is going to be amazing. This is just the beginning." The car sat silently, waiting for the adventure to continue. And for Tom and Mia, the journey of discovery, learning, and restoration had just begun. They knew it would be a long and challenging road, but they were ready for every moment. The Pagani was no longer just an abandoned car. It had become a symbol of curiosity, friendship, and the joy of bringing forgotten treasures back to life. The next morning, Tom and Mia woke up early, full of energy and excitement. Today was the day they would begin working on the Pagani. They packed their tools, notebooks, and cameras, and walked to the abandoned house where the car had been sitting for years. The sun was rising, and the streets were quiet, giving the day a peaceful feeling. As they approached the car, Tom ran his fingers lightly over the dusty surface. "It feels different today," he said. "Like it knows something important is about to happen." Mia laughed softly. "You always imagine things, but I understand what you mean. We are really going to try to bring it back to life." Their first task was cleaning. The car was covered in years of dirt, dust, and leaves. Tom and Mia brought buckets of water, soft cloths, and mild soap. They started with the wheels, which were thick with mud. The tires were cracked and flat, but the rims shined slightly under the dirt. Slowly, they scrubbed, washed, and wiped the car. Every layer of dust that came off revealed more of the car's original beauty. After hours of cleaning, the Pagani looked more alive. Its curves were shining, the paint had a soft glow, and the interior leather seats were beginning to show their rich color beneath the dust. Tom stepped back and admired their work. It already looks better. I can imagine how amazing it will be once it is fully restored. Mia smiled, but then she reminded him, this is just the beginning. The engine, tires, and other parts need careful attention. We cannot rush. They carefully opened the hood. The engine was dusty but surprisingly intact. They could see that the oil had dried in some places, and some belts looked old and brittle. Tom took out his notebook and wrote everything down. We need to change the oil, replace some belts, and check the fuel system, he said. We should not try to start it until we are sure it is safe. Mia agreed. I will make a list of parts we need. We can take it to the garage tomorrow and ask the mechanics to help. Some parts might be special and hard to find, so we have to be patient. As they worked, neighbors began to notice them. Some came closer, curious about the car. Is that a real Pagani? One man asked, his eyes wide. Tom nodded and explained that they were trying to restore it. The neighbors were impressed and offered small help. Some gave advice about mechanics, while others offered tools or cleaning materials. By late afternoon, the sun was high, and the car was sparkling. The tires still needed replacement, but the body, the interior, and the windows looked almost new. Tom and Mia took pictures from every angle. They wanted to remember the process and show how the car looked before and after restoration. That evening, they carefully covered the Pagani with a soft cloth to protect it from dust. They sat on the steps of the old house, drinking water and looking at their work. It is incredible what we have done in one day, Mia said. Imagine how it will look when the mechanics finish their work. Tom smiled. I know. But I am more excited to see it start moving. That is when it will feel alive. Today, we brought its appearance back. Tomorrow, we bring it to life. The next morning, they took the car to a local garage that specialized in rare and expensive cars. The garage was small but clean, with tools and equipment neatly arranged. A friendly mechanic named Sam greeted them. I heard you have a Pagani that needs some love, he said, smiling. These cars are rare. Not many people get to work on one. Let's see what we can do. Tom explained the condition of the car, showing Sam the notes and pictures. Sam nodded. It is dusty and old, but it has good bones. The engine can be saved, the body looks great, and the interior can be restored. It will take time, patience, and careful work, but it is possible. They began the process step by step. First, Sam drained the old oil and cleaned the engine carefully. He replaced belts, checked the fuel system, and made sure all wires were working. Tom and Mia watched closely, learning from every movement. They asked questions and took notes. It was like a school, but the subject was their dream car. Next, they replaced the flat tires with new ones. Mia helped by holding tools and passing parts to Sam. As the tires were attached, the car slowly began to feel stable. Tom tapped the wheel lightly. It is starting to feel real again, he said. After the engine and tires were taken care of, they moved to the interior. The leather seats had dried but were not broken. Sam cleaned and conditioned the leather, bringing back its soft texture and rich color. Tom and Mia polished the dashboard, cleaned the glass, and fixed small scratches on the body. Every little improvement made the car feel closer to its original beauty. By evening, the Pagani was almost fully restored. Its engine looked ready, the tires were new, the interior was clean, and the body sparkled under the garage lights. Tom and Mia stood beside it, feeling proud and amazed. It looks like a dream, Mia said. I cannot believe it was abandoned for so long. Sam smiled. It is special. And now it has found owners who care. It will shine again, and you will remember this every time you see it or drive it. Tom nodded. We have learned so much. Cleaning, fixing, observing. It is more than just restoring a car. It is about patience, love, and respect for something valuable. Mia added, and it is about adventure. We started with curiosity, and now we are part of its story. Who knows what will happen next? Maybe it will go to a collector, or maybe we will enjoy it ourselves. Either way, it is alive again. They spent the next few days making small adjustments and checking everything. The car was ready for a test drive. The moment had finally come. Tom sat in the driver's seat, carefully turning the key. The engine purred softly at first, then roared to life. The sound was powerful, smooth, and beautiful. Mia clapped her hands, smiling widely. The Pagani was awake. They drove slowly at first, feeling the car's power and control. It moved easily, responding to every touch of the steering wheel. The streets around the garage seemed to welcome it, as if the car had been waiting for this moment for many years. When they returned, they parked the car and looked at it. It was no longer an abandoned vehicle. It was a masterpiece, shining and alive. Tom and Mia felt proud, happy, and amazed at what they had accomplished together. The adventure of bringing the Pagani back to life had taught them about patience, care, teamwork, and the joy of discovering forgotten treasures. As the sun set behind the garage, they promised each other that they would continue taking care of the car. The Pagani was no longer forgotten, and it was ready for the next chapter of its story. After seeing the Pagani roar back to life, Tom and Mia were filled with pride. They had worked hard cleaning, fixing, and restoring it. Every day, they learned something new about the car, and every hour brought them closer to completing their project. For a moment, it felt like nothing could go wrong. But the next morning, when they arrived at the garage, they noticed something troubling. Small scratches had appeared on the shiny body, and there were tiny dents on the front bumper. Mia frowned. How did this happen? We cleaned it so carefully yesterday. Tom examined the car closely. Maybe it was the wind, or something fell on it. But we need to check carefully. We cannot let even small damage remain. They carefully polished the scratches, but while cleaning, Sam, the mechanic, noticed another problem. The brakes are worn out more than I expected, he said. You can drive short distances slowly, but for long trips, we need to replace the brake pads and check the fluid. Otherwise, it could be dangerous. Tom and Mia looked at each other. We did not expect this, Mia said. We thought the engine and tires were the main issues. We did not think about the brakes. Sam nodded. With rare cars like this, every small detail matters. These cars are powerful. Brakes, suspension, engine, tires, all of them must work perfectly. Even small mistakes can cause big problems. Tom took out his notebook and wrote everything down. He and Mia decided to order new brake parts immediately. They also checked the other systems. The transmission looked fine, but the suspension needed small adjustments. The car was powerful, but it required constant care and attention. While waiting for the parts, Tom and Mia continued cleaning and polishing. They carefully checked the interior, the leather seats, the dashboard, and the steering wheel. They wanted the car to be perfect in every way. It was not just about driving. It was about respecting the work that had gone into making it. A few days later, the new parts arrived. Sam and the friends carefully replaced the brake pads and checked the fluid. They adjusted the suspension and tested the brakes multiple times. Slowly, the car became safer and more reliable. Every step took patience, and Tom and Mia realized that restoring a car like this was not just about excitement, it was about careful, steady work. One afternoon, while testing the car on a quiet street, Mia noticed something unusual. Tom, listen, she said. There is a strange sound when we turn the steering wheel. It sounds like metal rubbing. Tom stopped the car and got out. He examined the front wheels, tires, and suspension. You are right, he said. It could be a small part in the steering system. We will need to check it carefully before we drive it again. Sam was called in to inspect the steering. After a detailed examination, he said, "One of the steering joints is slightly loose. It is not dangerous yet, but it must be replaced. I can order it, but it may take a few days. This is common with rare cars. Small parts are sometimes hard to find." Tom and Mia nodded, understanding that restoring a rare car was not simple. "We have come this far," Mia said. "We cannot give up now. Waiting for the part is part of the adventure." While the car waited for the part, Tom and Mia began thinking about the future. They loved the Pagani, but they knew it would need constant care. They could either sell it to a collector or keep it themselves. Tom said, "If we sell it, we can get a lot of money. But if we keep it, we will have a dream car that we restored ourselves. It will be priceless to us in a different way." Mia agreed. "I think we should wait and see. Once it is fully ready, we can decide. The important thing is to bring it back to life first." A few days later, the steering part arrived. Sam installed it carefully, tested it multiple times, and confirmed that everything was now in perfect condition. Tom and Mia were thrilled. The Pagani was finally safe, beautiful, and fully functional. It had gone from an abandoned, forgotten car to a fully restored masterpiece. They decided to take it for a longer drive to test everything. The road stretched ahead, quiet and empty, perfect for a test run. Tom drove slowly at first, feeling the car respond perfectly. The brakes were smooth, the engine powerful, the steering precise. Mia felt the wind in her hair and smiled. "It feels like it has a soul," she said. "Like it is happy to be alive again." Tom nodded. "It is amazing. We worked so hard, and it all paid off. But we also learned that restoring something valuable is not easy. Every detail mattered, and every small problem could have caused failure. Patience and care made the difference." As they returned to the garage, they noticed that people were starting to recognize the car. Neighbors came to look, taking pictures and asking questions. Some were amazed that an abandoned car had become so beautiful. Tom and Mia smiled, proud of what they had achieved. That evening, as they cleaned the car one last time for the day, Mia said, "This car has been through so much. It was forgotten for years, and now it is alive again. We gave it a new beginning." Tom agreed. "Yes. And it is more than just a car now. It is a story of patience, discovery, and teamwork. Every day, we learned something new. We faced challenges, solved problems, and kept going. That is what makes this adventure so special." The sun set, reflecting off the polished surface of the Pagani. The car looked ready for anything, a road trip, a show, or even a new owner. But for Tom and Mia, it was more than that. It was a symbol of their hard work, curiosity, and the joy of bringing something forgotten back to life. As they locked the garage and walked home, they felt proud, happy, and ready for the next chapter of the story. The Pagani had survived abandonment, dust, and damage, and now it was ready for the world again. Tom turned to Mia and said, "Tomorrow, we need to make a decision. Do we sell it or keep it? Either way, it will always remind us of this adventure." Mia smiled. "No matter what we decide, the Pagani will always be part of our story. We brought it back to life, and that is something no one can take away from us." The car waited silently in the garage, shiny, powerful, and alive. It had faced challenges, repairs, and careful attention. And it had emerged stronger, more beautiful, and ready for the road ahead. For Tom and Mia, this was not the end. The adventure with the Pagani had taught them lessons they would never forget. Lessons about patience, teamwork, and the excitement of discovering something truly rare. And as they walked home, they knew the story of the Pagani was far from over. The day had finally arrived when Tom and Mia had to make a decision about the Pagani. 4 weeks, they had worked together, restoring the car from a dusty, abandoned relic to a shining masterpiece. They had faced challenges, learned about every detail, and grown closer as friends. Now, the question was simple but difficult. Should they keep the car for themselves or sell it to someone else? They walked to the garage in the early morning sunlight. The Pagani sat silently, gleaming under the light, as if waiting for their decision. Tom ran his hand over the smooth surface. "It is hard to believe this was abandoned," he said. "We brought it back to life, but now we have to decide what happens next." Mia smiled softly. "I know. I love the idea of keeping it, but we also learned that it might be very expensive to maintain. We could sell it to a collector and help someone else appreciate it. But it feels like part of our adventure is in the car itself." They sat near the Pagani and thought about all the days they had spent working on it. They remembered cleaning the dust, polishing the body, fixing the engine, replacing the tires, and learning from Sam, the mechanic. Every small step had brought them closer to this moment. Just then, Tom had an idea. "Why don't we drive it one last time and see how it feels? Maybe that will help us decide." Mia nodded eagerly. They started the car and drove slowly through the quiet streets of the town. The engine purred perfectly, and the tires gripped the road with ease. People stopped and stared, amazed at the sight of such a rare car driving again. Children waved, neighbors took pictures, and even the local shopkeepers came out to watch. The car seemed to shine even more under the attention. As they drove, they remembered their first discovery. How they had stumbled upon the Pagani behind a rusty gate, covered in dust and weeds. They thought about the old man who had left it behind and how lucky they were to find it. The car had been forgotten, but now it was alive, powerful, and admired by everyone who saw it. After the drive, they parked the Pagani back in the garage. Tom looked at Mia seriously. "I think I know what we should do," he said. "We can sell it, but only if it goes to someone who will appreciate it as much as we did. Or we can keep it, but share it with people in some way. Maybe take it to shows or let others see it. What do you think?" Mia thought for a moment. "I like that idea. We don't have to choose just money or just fun. We can find a way to enjoy it and let others enjoy it too. It will become part of more stories, not just ours." They decided to contact a few collectors who had expressed interest in rare cars. They told them about the car, its condition, and the restoration process. The responses were overwhelming. Collectors offered more money than Tom and Mia had ever imagined, but one person caught their attention. He was a collector who loved sharing rare cars with others. He held small exhibitions and invited schools, clubs, and car enthusiasts to see and learn about the vehicles. Tom and Mia realized this was perfect. The car would be appreciated and cared for, but it would also inspire others. They made an appointment to meet the collector and show the car. When the day came, the collector was amazed. He examined every detail and smiled. "You have done an incredible job restoring this Pagani. It is more than a car, it is a story of care, patience, and passion. I will make sure it is admired by many." After discussing the terms, Tom and Mia agreed to sell the car. They were happy knowing it would be in good hands. But the collector also promised that they could visit the car anytime, and they could even take it for short drives with permission. The car would remain part of their lives, even as it became part of a larger story. Before handing over the keys, Tom and Mia spent one last evening with the Pagani. They cleaned it carefully, polished it until it shined like new, and sat beside it, remembering every moment of the restoration. "We did it," Mia said softly. "We saved it from being forgotten." Tom nodded. "And we learned so much along the way. About patience, hard work, and how special things can be when you care for them. This car is not just a car anymore. It is a symbol of our adventure." The next day, they drove the car to meet the collector. The journey felt like the final chapter of a story they had been writing for weeks. As they arrived, they parked the Pagani carefully. The collector smiled and shook their hands. "Thank you for trusting me with this car. It will have a new life, and your story will be part of it." Tom and Mia handed over the keys, feeling a mixture of pride and sadness. They had worked so hard, but they knew the car was going to a place where it would be respected, admired, and loved. The adventure that had begun with curiosity had reached a perfect conclusion. After leaving the collector, Tom and Mia walked through the streets quietly. They talked about their favorite moments, finding the car, cleaning it, learning from Sam, driving it for the first time, and polishing it to perfection. Every memory was precious. Mia smiled. Even though the car is gone, it feels like it is still part of us. We made a difference. We took something forgotten and gave it new life. That is something no one can take away from us. Tom nodded. Exactly. And who knows? Maybe one day we will find another adventure like this. We have learned that amazing things are often hidden, waiting for someone curious enough to find them. Weeks later, they visited the car at the collector's place. It was displayed beautifully, surrounded by other rare cars, but it still shone brighter than the rest. Visitors admired it, asked questions, and learned about the restoration. Tom and Mia smiled, knowing that their hard work had created joy and inspiration for others. One day, as they stood beside the car, a young boy approached them. "Is this a real Pagani?" he asked. Tom smiled. "Yes, it is. And it has an interesting story. It was abandoned for many years, but two friends found it, restored it, and gave it a new life." Mia added, "Sometimes, things that seem forgotten can become amazing again. You just need patience, care, and a little adventure." The boy's eyes grew wide with excitement. "Wow! I want to find something like that someday." Tom and Mia laughed. They realized that the Pagani was now more than a car. It was a lesson, a story, and an inspiration. They had discovered treasure, faced challenges, worked hard, and created something beautiful that would be remembered by many. As they walked away, the Pagani gleamed under the sunlight. Its engine was quiet now, but it was ready for its next adventure. And for Tom and Mia, the memories, lessons, and joy of the restoration would stay with them forever. The abandoned Pagani had become a symbol of discovery, teamwork, patience, and hope. It had gone from being forgotten and ignored to being admired, respected, and loved. And the story of Tom and Mia would always be part of it. The adventure had ended, but the memory of finding, restoring, and sharing the Pagani would last a lifetime. And every time they thought of it, they remembered that sometimes the most valuable things in life are waiting quietly, hidden behind rusty gates, ready for those who are brave enough to notice.